1-0 Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. It's on the outside. Decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On it by Fontella. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day, and Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby!
Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top
Shot! Oh, what a goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast. Full-time show with me, Joe Redmond, after Burnley's impressive win in the West Midlands yesterday against the Coventry City side that have taken to Twitter to cry just like they always do. I'm genuinely surprised at how bad that they've taken it, to be fair, but we won't get into that too much. But what we will get into is how big of a result that is. I nearly said how good Burnley were yesterday, but we'll get into that because I don't necessarily think that is really the case. I thought we contained them very well and defended quite well, but we were a little bit more uncomfortable than what we usually are. Just a bit of housekeeping. Unfortunately, for some reason, my AirPods aren't working at the minute. So if there is a bit of an echo, just let me know, and I can sort it out by muting the lads while I'm talking and muting me and whoever's not talking. When we're going down that route, I'm not sure why they're not working. But anyway, let's get into it. As you can see, I am joined by Andrew, as always, and Sam as well. How are we doing, gents?
Good, mate.
Flying high, top of the table.
Top of the table indeed. And champions again, ole ole, says Matthew Corbett. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. I don't want to start singing that just yet, although I may have got a little bit carried away and did sing it yesterday at the CBS Arena, Rico Arena, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, obviously plenty of twists and turns to come. We've got a very tough game on Tuesday against Derby County, but Leeds are away at Middlesbrough, who are the second most informed team in the league in the minute. And who's the most informed team? Winning 6 out of their last 7, I think it is. But yes, Andrew, we'll come to you first, please, mate. Thoughts on that game, please?
Yeah, it weren't the most enjoyable. I think I said in my fan reaction, if you were neutral watching it, you probably would have really enjoyed it. But as a fan of Burnley or Coventry, you wouldn't have done because it was quite tense, it was quite stop-start. You know, there were a lot of silly fouls given away for both sides. I think we're probably going to go into referee later on, but I think he had a really poor game. But for ourselves, it's that point of the season now where you've just got to get the results. The performance doesn't really matter as long as we're grinding out the results. And the fact that we've not just gone behind, but the manner in which we've gone behind to then turn it round the way that we did. All right, they may have gifted us the second goal, but the fact that we've managed to turn it round the way that we did, as well as with Leeds and Sheffield United dropping points yesterday, it's a massive, massive result for us. And it's in our hands now, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it already was. To be fair, it already was in our hands, but now the league is in our hands as well. We can win the league if we win every single game between now and the end of the season. Do I think we'll win every game between now and the end of the season? No, but I wasn't 100% confident that we'd go and win at Coventry. I know I predicted 2-1 on my pre-game show. And by the way, can I just point out that's 2 spot-on predictions in 2 weeks, by the way. I said 1-0 against Bristol City, 2-1 against Coventry. But yeah, it's great to see us where we are. But I agree with Andrew in a sense that I don't think we were poor, But what I will say is Coventry's front three, they caused us problems and they got in behind a lot more than the majority of other teams do. Hadjirai, Sacramento, and the other lad on the left, whose name just escapes me, I thought they were all very, very good, and I thought they gave our fullbacks a real test. I know a lot of people have been praising Perez, and I do agree he played quite well. But there were moments where they got in behind Perez quite easily, and also Connor Roberts as well. It wasn't just Perez, but that's not really a me giving them disrespect or anything, but that's me kind of like just saying how good their front three was and how well their wide forwards were. I thought they got in behind us a lot more than most teams do. So credit to them to that. But yeah, ultimately we pressed them well, but yes, that second goal of ours, their goalkeeper, what is he doing? Their defender, what is he doing? I like it how they've all just dived on their goalkeeper because he's their sub goalkeeper, and obviously the main goalkeeper got injured at Bramall Lane a few days earlier. But the defender's just as much to blame there for me as the goalkeeper. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the game. We'll move on to Sam next, please, mate. Sam, your thoughts on that match, please.
Yeah, I think you're both right. I don't think it was an amazing performance, but I think it's what we've said all season, that the best teams can win games without playing very well. We just have quality in areas that they don't. And yes, their front three is good, but fundamentally, squad-wise, we have the better squad. Yeah. We have the better players, and that was the turning point in the game. We had players like Cullen who can control midfield. We have players at the back like CJ Riley and Steve who just eat everything up and don't give you a right lot to work with. I mean, let's be honest, even though they created chances, the only goal that they scored shouldn't have stood. So, let's be honest, if we're talking real gilt-edged chances, I can think of only one other one where they maybe should have scored, as well as the offside goal that they did score. In my opinion, though, it just goes back to what Andrew was saying, and it echoes my point from last week. I'm not bothered about performances now. I'm bothered about points. Yeah. We're in the final 8 games. Performances mean nothing. Performances mid-season, when you want to see the team and what we're actually going to become, I agree that that's where you call for performance. Now, I don't care. 3 points is 3 points. And whether we get it from a scrappy goal just after half-time or whether we get it from a screamer from Fleming from a free kick, I don't care. Like, as long as we get 3 points, as long as we do our job, then, we've got nothing to worry about. But then under the manager that we've got now, a manager that deserves all the praise, regardless of performances or anything, we are a team that is now 27 unbeaten in a season. We haven't watched our team lose a game for 27 game weeks. Like, he deserves all the praise for getting us to where we are. And honestly, long may it continue, because as much as we can talk about performance and style of play, Scott Parker has got that team playing a fundamental way that stops other teams doing anything to us. So for me, this system, whether it's automatic promotion or playoffs, this team is capable of getting us there. So honestly, I think these next few games, I think we just go into it and attack each game. And honestly, I genuinely think we can win the league if we don't slip up.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we've put ourselves in a position now where we potentially can, and we can start talking about that because we are, of course, top of the league. But we'll get into that later on. But sticking with you, Sam, there are your stats from the game. We will talk a little bit about we'll get into the controversial decisions in the next few minutes. But there are the stats on the game. Keep your comments coming in. I will be reading them out after I just quickly talk to Sam about this. Kind of just backs up what we were saying, though, doesn't it, really? Look at the XG. Coventry are edging it, to be fair, but only just. Possession is actually 50-50. I thought Coventry had more possession. They obviously had a lot more in the second half. That they're just edge the shots. There's a new stat down there, a little bit halfway down the screen, just under XG, which I know some people don't like. So if you don't like XG, you're not going to like that one. XG on target, which Burnley had more than them, whatever that means. If it means your expected shots on target. But obviously we're a little bit wasteful with them. But kind of just backing up what we're all saying in it there, Sam, really. Probably not the best performance, but a scrappy win. That's all that matters. And were Coventry really that much better than us? Maybe in the second half when they stepped onto us, but on the balance of play, I think not. I think if you're going to cry foul about us getting a wrong result like the Coventry fans have, I think the only result that you can sort of like say with your chest that they should have got is a draw at best.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think that they were. I think they were better than some teams that we've played this season. I think we've played a lot of dross this year in the nicest possible way. We've and it's a narrative that I feel like Leeds fans like to paint themselves quite a lot. Is that everybody turns up to Ellen Road or whenever they play Leeds and it's everybody's cup final and that type of thing. And I personally think it's a ludicrous way to think about anything. But in comparison to the rest of the Championship, Sheffield United have just come down. We've just come down, and Leeds are a huge City team that have huge financial backing in comparison to a lot of the teams in the division. We should be where we are, and all three of us are the top three teams. We've played teams like Oxford, Plymouth, Portsmouth. Like these are teams with rich histories, but infrastructure-wise and player-wise, it's not quite there, and it doesn't really compare with Burnley. And Coventry have been one of the teams where I actually thought that they're actually really up for this, and they actually match the position in the league that they're in. We've played a lot of teams that have been in and around the playoffs, and I've sat there and thought, like when we play, who did we play last week? It's literally just gone out my brain.
Bristol City.
Bristol City. When we played Bristol City, other than the first 6 minutes, I couldn't tell you a single time when they actually frightened me. And they're a team in the playoffs. Like Coventry are the first team that I think we've played that I've actually thought they've come on to us. They really want to give it a go. And even still, you can still see that Scott Parker's got the team playing a certain way that prevents teams from having chances. Okay, we don't create chances in the same way, but we are easily the hardest team to beat in this division, like easily. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Like we've all talked performances, we've all talked about how we'd like a much more attacking style of play. We'd rather have more goals in games. I completely agree with that. But when it actually comes down to it, and just going back to what I said in the first point, like we are 27 games unbeaten. We've watched 27 game weeks now in a row where we've not lost a game. That is something that we celebrate Sean Dyche for doing 23. Scott Parker's done it and he's got 4 more. Like the bloke is doing an incredible job, and he's getting players. I think we had a conversation at the start of the season, didn't we, Joe, about like how he doesn't tinker as much as company, but it's a negative to him a little bit because he keeps the same players, and we wonder like how they're staying in the team. What he's done with those wingers is the best thing for both of them. Jayden Anthony on the right hand side, in my opinion, was ineffective. You chuck him on the left hand side, he is absolutely fantastic. And my narrative on him is changing. I'm still not there yet for the 11 million quid we have to pay next season. But where we are now, he was brilliant yesterday. He was really, really good. And Edwards on the other side, they just complement each other so much. And I think one of the biggest things as well is that game was so suited to Lyle Foster starting. Like, if Fleming had started, I don't think we would have come away with that result. Lyle Foster was pivotal in that game. The way that he was able to get the ball on the half turn and start distributing left and right was like, it was something that we don't normally see from Fleming. We normally see that hold up play and we think, keep the ball, just keep it for a second, and then we lose it, and then we're chasing the ball again, and it's back with the defenders. I thought what Lyle did really well was he literally take 2-3 touches and he'd get it out to the wingers and let the creative players create. And I think that's what we did really well yesterday. And I think that's, again, another plaudit to Scott Parker, that he is finally realising who suits what game and where we need to have certain players. And I think it's a brilliant thing from a tactical manager where you can change the player, but it doesn't change the way that you actually fundamentally play. Like you could Fleming and Foster are 2 totally different players, but the system stays exactly the same. And I think that's a credit to Parker that he can put players in and they still fit his system. And I think that's what yesterday was. It was a system win from a good manager and a good team in the division. That's all it was. I think you're muted, mate, unless I just can't hear you.
Sorry, mate, I was muted. Yeah, I was going to say, I completely agree with Mitch, everything you're saying. We will go on into individuals a little bit later on, but completely agree. I thought Foster came in and did well. And I did tweet something out because there are a few raised eyebrows about Foster starting. And I remember one guy sort of like saying, why has he done that change? The change was taking Anthony out and bringing somebody in. I don't know if the guy who tweets that stuff listens or watches, but he knows who he is. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Everyone who's on Twitter knows who he is. But I did tweet at the time saying that decision makes sense despite Fleming's recent goal run because of Lyle's pace getting in behind, because Coventry like to play the high back line. And that's exactly how it worked. It were a good decision from Parker, in my opinion, to make that change. But we'll get on to some of the comments. Claret Blue 1882 says, good morning, Clarets. Andrew's hamster had predicted it first. We're going to win the league. Andrew's hamster predicted that from 2 years ago. That's how slow the hamster is. He's still predicted us to win the league from when we were under Vincent Kompany. Stuart Rhodes says, morning, chaps. Super win at Coventry. Still some massive games to come. We are in the driving seat now and just need to keep the pedal down till the end of the season. Carl Stuttard says, morning, everyone. Cracking result yesterday. Was good to see us come from behind in controversial circumstances and show that character to win in tough circumstances. Ray Moorhead says, morning from Colville, Clarets. Still plenty of salt in the air down here in the Midlands, I can imagine, mate. Hope the streets aren't too flooded, mate, with all the ridiculous tears. More comments about my timekeeping. I literally pressed start stream every single week at 10:30. I like to keep a holding screen on for a little bit, as I've already said. Jordan Rushworth in the chat, he says, top of the championship, sun is shining, Leeds are falling apart again, opposition fans in meltdown about anti-football tactics. We have never been so back. I love that, mate. It's been a while since we've had fans crying as much as Coventry fans do, but Coventry fans never fail to let you down with the amount of salt that they produce. It's a fan base that I just don't get it. There are a lot of sound Coventry fans. I'm not going to say they're all like that, but there's just so many muppets in their fan base, mate. And Andrew, me and you were saying in the WhatsApp group, weren't we? Like, I don't know where they get it from. Yes, they were in the top division for 30 years in the 70s to the early 2000s. And in that process, won one trophy, by the way. I don't get where they get these delusions of grandeur from. I really, really don't. As Kurt says, looking forward to this. Job lot of French fries already for the Coventry soul. Completely agree. Milltown Dingle says, morning, lads. What a weekend for us. A title is in our hands. David Lever. Keep the claret and blue flag flying high. As Trucker says here, there's some decent ground of Coventry fans, but I've never seen such a vitriol against us by another random club. Brighton, maybe. The idea of little old Burnley in their spot infuriates them. It really, really does. David Ratcliffe says, Lucas Pires was impressive. I wasn't sure for a long time this season about his ability, but absolutely on board with his character and mental strength going forward. Massively improved. Completely agree, mate. We've talked about Pires a lot over the last few weeks, so we won't focus on him too much. But another good performance from him now. And to be honest, I expect these good performances from Pires now. And that's where we've come from him. A lot of Burnley fans, myself included, were a little bit worried about him. But now it's one of them where we get into it and we just know he's going to play well. Phil Wilcox says, morning, gents. Good to see you yesterday, Joe. First half good, second half a bit meh, but job done. Exactly that, mate. Job done. Claret 22 says, we only killed the game because we scored the second. Had we needed to score another, I think we could have stepped onto them. Completely agree. And keep your comments coming in. Burnley can kill games. When we need to kill a game, we will kill that game. And that's exactly what we did in that second half. For all Coventry's possession in that second half, I don't really remember a massive chance off the top of my head, if I'm going to be honest with you. Coventry were the better side in that second half, but they failed to create it into chances. And that's exactly what we do to teams when we need to do that to teams. We will kill the game. And that's what we did to Coventry yesterday. It's good to see Glenn in the chat. Think Burnley go up now unless you lose to Sheffield United. Not pretty, but effective. And your record at championship level in the last few seasons is impressive. Glenn was one of the ones having a bit of a moan yesterday, but it seems like he's calmed down a little bit now. Glenn did say that Lucas Pires should have been sent off. He has since retracted that statement, to be fair to Glenn. Longthrow City says, Milltown Diggle. To be fair to Coventry, Longthrow City was causing us problems in that second half. And I remember at one point, I thought we were going to concede. And I shouted, get it out so loud that I started getting spots in my vision, moving spots in my vision. I thought I was going to die. There was something seriously wrong with me at that moment. I'm like, why is there spots in my vision or something? I shouted that like, get it out! Honestly, I was panicking at that point. But anyway, keep your comments coming in. It's good to see Glenn in the chat, like I said. But let's have a look at some of the past maps and average positions when in possession from the game. I like to bring these in. You know I do now. Big shout out to the guy that sends me these. I think this just backs up what we were saying as well, to be fair. Burnley in a nice shape, containing the Coventry threat there. You can see Foster and Brownhill the furthest forward, and you've got Anthony and Edwards not as far forward as their wide forwards. So obviously, for a reason there, you can see they're trying to contain it. Coventry a little bit misshapen, a little bit mismatched, but you can see their wide forwards quite high because they're obviously trying to cause us a few issues in that second half when they had the majority of the possession. But Andrew, we'll come to you first on this one. Looking at that just kind of backs up what we're saying, doesn't it? Burnley containing the Coventry threat and doing it very, very well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, second half, they stepped onto us quite a lot. And I think, like Sam said, Parker's got us playing this system now where we don't really concede many chances, never mind conceding goals. We don't really concede many chances. And that sort of just proves that, we're comfortable in possession. We know that attacking's not, I don't want to say attacking's not our greatest strength, but
I think it's fair, though. I think it's fair. We haven't scored that many goals, all right. I think we've scored one less than Sheffield United now, but Sheffield United fans will say they're not great going forward. However, if we had Tyrese Campbell, I think we'd have scored a lot more goals, to be fair. So I think it's a fair point, Andrew.
Yeah, and we do take our chances when they come to us, and that's obviously why we are where we are in the league. But yeah, like you said, that pass map just sort of shows the system that we're in. And like I say, I can't really think of many clear-cut chances that they created yesterday, other than the offside goal and the chance that Hadji Wright should have put in. But yeah, it just shows how good our system has been this season and how good we are in possession. And like one of the comments said earlier on, if we wanted to, we could have really stepped onto them and gone and got another goal. But at that point, it was just job done. There's no need to go for it and risk losing.
Exactly that. It's when you're 2-1 up at a place like the CBS Arena, a team playing very, very well, stepping onto you. Why on earth would you then start playing kamikaze football and attacking every 30 seconds? You just wouldn't do it, would you? You just wouldn't do it. We contained the game very well. We contained Coventry threat very, very well. And listen, I can understand Coventry fans being upset that they didn't get a result out of it or anything. But some of the stuff I've seen online has been an absolute disgrace. Sam, your thoughts looking at them pass mats and average positions is just kind of backing up what we're saying, isn't it, really?
It's just the difference between a good manager and Frank Lampard, really. Like, genuinely. Like, I mean, there's a reason why, in my opinion, Scott Parker is, when we had all this conversation at the start of the season we had that strange podcast saying that he was like the 15th best manager in the division and all this malarkey. Like, Scott Parker has ended up being a fantastic manager for Burnley. He's got us in a time where we had no idea what the team was going to be and we had no idea what the system was going to look like. And he's reintegrated players like Cullen properly back into the team, which we almost thought, Company had fully shipped him out of the team, and he came back in for like the last 6-7 games in the Premier League. But you obviously a different manager, a different system. You don't know how he's going to work. We've managed to make a player like Josh Laurent, who's a 500k player, look like an absolute diamond in midfield when he plays. Like, you've got Josh Brownhill having one of his best goal scoring seasons of all time. Not of all time, but in his career. We've got two very, 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 high quality wingers creating chances. Unfortunately, we don't have the striker side of things, but we have a fantastic setup, and especially when you add the back four in there as well. Like, the back four are incredible. We've got a great goalkeeper, but we play as a team. We play as a unit. We don't play as individuals. We have one luxury player really in Marcus Edwards, who you can kind of say, just do what you like, run at him if you want to, come back if you want to. We're not really bothered. He doesn't really necessarily play the system style of play. However, I have got to say he is tracking back a lot more now. He does look a little bit more in tune with the defence. But I think that's what it is. I think it's a team of players who know each other so well, who have steadily just kept working on Scott Parker's system, Scott Parker's style of play. And we're now seeing the fruits of all that time and all that effort. Like, okay, yes, it's not pretty, but it wasn't always pretty under Dyche either. And we managed to get 6 incredible seasons in the Premier League, 2 promotions from the Championship, 1 as champions. We got into Europe. That was all in a system where we all used to say, I wish we'd just go at it a little bit more. I think that this is still a stage up from what Dyche used to do. We control games. We are constantly on the front foot. We constantly have the ability to strike, like we've said, like we've all discussed this morning. Like, we still have the ability, even though it's 2-1, we do have the ability to turn that gear up and go for it. We just probably don't need to, because you come into a tough team away from home.
You don't need to.
What is the point in doing it? All as much as these players are doing it at the moment, and I have to admit, like, I absolutely am loving this team at the moment, and I think this is definitely the best setup that we've got at the moment. So much of my praise is going to the manager, simply because of how I can't understand it. 27 games unbeaten is incredible. Like, we're playing in the Championship, and like I say, yes, there is some dross in the division, but it's hard. It's a tough league. You play so many games. You have to have a really deep squad, and you have to have a really good understanding of your players and where they fit and how they work. And he deserves so much credit for that. And the system that we've got playing, all you have to do is look on that map that you've got, and genuinely, you see it every week. Yeah. We are a team unit, going to teams and going to different grounds and playing as a unit. And that's what teams find difficult to break down. You can have as many individuals as you like, but as soon as you come up against an 11 that is all working for each other and all playing a system that they all understand, it's so hard to beat. And we are that team at the moment.
Yeah, completely agree. My camera keeps giving thumbs up. I don't mean to do that. Apologies. But I don't know why I don't do it for anybody else. But I just wanted to bring up this FOTMOB map as well. And the reason why my issue sometimes with XG is the fact that, as I said earlier, Flash Score have it as 1.52 and 1.55 for Coventry. Whereas FOTMOB have it for 1.63 to Burnley and 1.50 to Coventry. So it seems like it is a subjective stat. But one thing that I have brought up is, as you can see now on your screen, the Hadji Wright goal, which wasn't a goal, by the way. Let's get into that in a second. The XG for that was 0.93. So the highest of their XG comes from a goal which shouldn't be offside. And then you've got Coventry fans saying that they should have won the match. We were fortunate to win the game. The biggest chance that they created was an offside goal that shouldn't have been given, with an XG of 0. So without that XG, their XG is down in the 60s. So they created, for all that possession in the second half, they created absolutely nothing. And again, it goes back to everything that we've just said. I just wanted to sort of cement that point and say that, yes, the Turfcast lads are correct. Is that, yes, Coventry had all the possession and did quite well in that second half and caused us issues in a way, but then just didn't turn it into chances. And that's on them. That's not on Burnley. And that is not on the referee as well. What is on the referee is the fact that Burnley have now conceded 12 goals this season instead of 11, because that is a disgusting decision. Sorry, not the referee. Let's be fair. It's the linesman. As you can see, the lad with the ball, apologies, I'm not sure exactly who it is, but the lad with the ball there takes the shot. Connor Roberts is sliding to try and prevent the shot. And Hadji Wright is behind Connor Roberts, and behind, you can see he's miles behind. The thing is with offsides, as much as we sometimes don't like the offside decisions where you can literally put a fag paper between them and they say VAR's come in and it's offside, it's black and white. There's no subjective opinions on this. He's offside and that is the end of the debate. How the linesman has got this one wrong is beyond me. I've seen Coventry fans saying, to be fair, the linesman, he wasn't in line with play. Why wasn't he in line with play? Because this is after a 5-second goal mouth scramble, so he's got plenty of time to get back. It's an awful decision. Coventry should never have been given the goal. It should have been chalked off straight away. You could tell from the away end he was offside. I was screaming for offside as soon as that went in. You could just tell with the way he was coming back and the way he put the ball in the back of the net that he is offside. Coventry fans, again, have tried to say, well, it hits Connor Roberts' arms on the way in, who, as I said, is sliding. And the trailing arm, behind Connor, the ball does hit his arm. However, that is not how the offside rule works. As you can see here, the offside rule is taken from where the player kicks the ball, and that is where the offside offence takes place. So it's offside, regardless of whether or not it hits Connor's arm. And secondly, it does hit Connor's arm, like I said, but the fact that he's sliding in, it's never deliberate. And I know, to be fair, they don't have to be deliberate, but it would never be handball in a million years because it's offside. It doesn't matter whether he's sliding or not, or whether it's, you can get into the offside debate the handball debate all you want. Hadji Wright is offside. The offside offence takes place there. It should never have been given. Andrew, come to you first, please, mate. Your thoughts on that disgusting decision?
I thought it was fair, to be fair. I think he's onside. No.
Yeah,
there's no justification for it. Like you say, all right, it does hit Roberts' arm, but the offside comes first. It's just an absolute disgusting decision. And I don't want to slag off the referee too much because, like you say, it should have been the linesman who spotted it. And, literally the linesman's got like 3 jobs, and this is one that he failed to do. But yeah, it just sort of sums up the state of officiating in this country, like all season. It's just a joke. I don't understand how on Thursday night, all right, fair enough, like we've got VAR in Premier League and we don't have it in the Championship, but I don't understand how on Thursday night you can have their ref in the Tottenham Chelsea game spend 6 minutes looking at a lad taking a knock, and in this game in Championship, the ref doesn't even go over to the linesman to speak to him. He stands there, makes the decision, and gives the goal. Like, the linesman should be in line there to see that. If the linesman doesn't see it, the ref should see it. It's just absolutely, I don't know. And then for Coventry fans to have the goal to say that the referee gave us everything, like, it just baffles me. It was an absolute ridiculous decision.
It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense as how they got it so wrong. That's so wrong. And thankfully, as we said earlier, Burnley showed fantastic character to come from behind against a good side at a tough stadium and win the match. But if we lose or draw that match and then miss out on promotion by a point and then lose against Sunderland in the playoff final, for example, these are the decisions that you can't get wrong. And I know you mentioned VAR there, mate, and I know most people will agree with what you're saying, but obviously nobody in the Championship wants VAR. That's the worst thing I'm looking forward to next season. It's not getting spanked every single week, which we probably will still do. It's the VAR, and it just seems to be getting worse. VAR, like it will never work in its current guise. It just won't. It just won't. Sorry, it needs to change completely. But the semi-automated offsides, which are coming into the Premier League next week, I think, will probably be a godsend. And if they work and work well in the Premier League, they need to be implemented down all 4 professional leagues. I know some people will say you can't do that because of the finances and of the clubs. The FA can pay for it, or the Premier League can pay for it. It needs to be in every single professional ground in the country. And Sam, will come to you next, mate. I'm sure there's not much you can add, really. It's blatantly offside and stuff, but your thoughts on it, please, buddy.
Just EFL officials, mate. Just honestly, like, we all hate the Premier League for the setup that they've got with VAR, and their referees aren't much better. But EFL referees, honestly, it's like they've won a competition on the back of a Weetabix box. Like, they just have no idea what's going on, and it's like they run up and down line facing the wrong way. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And what a a random argument to have back as well. Is that, oh, the linesman's not up with play and he's not in line with it. Well, in the words of Roy Keane, that's his job.
Yeah, he should be. Like, you can't use that as an excuse.
You
He
can't use
should
that as
be
an
in line
excuse.
with it.
If you're not fulfilling your job, off your pop. Like, if you're not doing your job properly, then you get sacked. So I'm not being funny, but that's not really an argument, is it? It's a blatant offside, and I completely agree with you. These are the situations that people, if you're like, I don't know, Sheffield Wednesday, for example, and you have an offside decision like this, is there really an argument? Are you that bothered? Like, oh, we didn't finish 12th. We could have finished 11th. Like, these actually matter to teams at the top of the table. If we end up drawing that game, that's 2 points dropped from yesterday, and that's us back third. Is it? Would have been third. It changes the whole dynamic. Like, you can't get those decisions wrong. And I'm not saying that we're the only team that gets decisions against us. And that's also not me talking from an arrogant perspective from a Sheffield Wednesday fan, because obviously we all want referees to do the same thing for everybody. But all I mean is it has greater ramifications to us than it does somebody who's mid-table.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't go our way, that makes our job 10 times harder. And we don't need that from a decision where somebody couldn't see it because they weren't in line with play, when their job is literally to be in line with play. So
yeah. And as AA says, you don't even need to be in line. You don't even need to be in line. I don't think it helps that it's quite, for a modern stadium, it's quite a close atmosphere. Like what I'm trying to say is the linesman's quite close to the home fans, and I think him being so close to that angle, that corner of the home fans and them all celebrating and stuff, I just feel like he bottled it. I feel like he thought it probably was, but wasn't 100% certain, so didn't want to give the decision. I think that's the only reason why it's not given. Lee Greenwood says that's the only thing the Lionel has to do. How does he not see it? I completely just bring it on screen again. Like, look how obvious it is. Like, even like this camera angle, for the record, isn't in line. This camera angle is not in line. It's probably it's obviously zoomed in from a camera angle at the top of the stand, but it's probably 15, 20 yards further up the line than where the actual incident takes place. The linesman's closer than that. So if you can see it from there and how obvious it was, and you can see it from the away end, which being straight on like I was, that it was offside, I just don't get how he's not giving it. I just genuinely don't get it. Claret 22 says he taps it in from the goal line, so it has to be offside. Not only that, mate, he's coming back as well. He's coming. If you can see his body position there, leaning towards the ball because he's moving backwards. It's so obvious he's offside. He's past Trafford as well. Like honestly. If we'd have lost that match, or like you said, Sam, drawn, and then it changes the whole dynamic of the promotion race, then I genuinely would be absolutely spitting with that one. But I'll stick with you, Sam, because it appears that Andrew has left. I'm not sure why. I'll send him a message in a minute. Hopefully it's just his hamsters have fallen off. But I'll stick with you for the next decision, mate. I genuinely didn't see that much wrong with this, other than the fact, Andrew's joining back now, other than the fact that I thought it was silly from Perez, because we've won possession back here. Mm-hmm. We've already won possession back here. And I did tweet at the time saying, this is silly from Perez. What is he doing? And a few people clapped back at me and sort of like saying, he's not really done anything wrong. I think he has done something wrong. I think he's got his body in between the attacker and the ball when he doesn't really need to. The ball's there being picked up by Steve. We have possession back. He just gives the referee an easy decision to make and gives Coventry a free kick. However, the Coventry fans have come on and started complaining that it should be a red card. I mean, there's still.
I think that's the thing, though, mate. Like it just all it does is feed into that narrative of we are so hard done by. Like that's what it's like, a Crimea River type thing. They seem to have done it all day yesterday. Of like, oh, but we attacked Burnley for 45 minutes. Like we actually ran at them. We passed the ball. We had the ball more than them. Like. That's not what wins you games. That is not a red card in a million years. You see it in the Premier League week in, week out. Virgil van Dijk does it all the time. You step across your attacker to give the angle for the other defender. The thing that Perez does is he he moves into him a little bit. I think it's a card because of the moving into him. He's not kind of just stepped across him. He's moved into the man. But it's not a red card. There's no violent conduct in standing in front of somebody. Like that's all I mean. It feeds into that like the world's against us type thing, like that they've got going for them. Like, oh, I can't believe we didn't come away scoring 6 goals and getting 8 points for that game. Like, it doesn't make none of them make sense. You've scored an offside goal, and you're saying, and you're trying to justify it through Coventry biased eyes, saying that it's the linesman wasn't up with play. But then when someone cuts across somebody, which you see all the time, you say it's a red card. Like, look, it's because he sees him and moves into him. That's why I think it's a card, because it's stupid. Like,
I'm being brave here by playing this, but I fingers crossed we don't get a strike for copyright. But it's that bad that I wanted to show it. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, but you see it week in, week out in the Premier League. Van Dijk is famous for shielding it because no one can get around him because he's so big. He just stands there.
They did the same thing about 10 minutes later.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. They did the same thing 10 minutes later. The only thing that didn't happen is Perez looks back at back at the lad before he hits him, whereas their player didn't. It happened multiple times through the game, including at Sarmiento right at the end. It's shielding. Yes, it's a bit daft. Yes, it's a yellow card. Yes, it's a free kick. But that's it. Like Sam says, you see it happen every single game across all 4 leagues. Like, it's just a footballing incident.
Yeah, it's a part of the game. It's one of those things that if you play football, you just know about doing it. Like, you know that it's just part of the game, and you see it all the time. Like I said, I keep going back to Virgil van Dijk, but he is like the prime example of it because he's so big. He knows if an attacker's coming and he needs to lay the ball off to Robertson or Contra or whoever it is, he just stands there. And there's no foul in that by just standing there. There is a foul in what Perez does because he looks back at him and moves his body into him to stop him. There's no elbow. There's no violent conduct. There's no trying to harm the player. It's trying to do a footballing or a footballing skill that he's just gone a little bit overzealous with. There's absolutely no way that's a red card. And if that's a red card in their eyes, then that offside is offside, and then we should get an offside goal against us next week as well, because that is the most offside goal I've ever seen in my entire life. And they're trying to say the linesman couldn't see it. Like, honestly, it doesn't even make any sense.
As Chris says here, Coventry fans acting like the victims as usual. They have no proper rivals, so they try to cause a few. The Coventry-Leicester game is quite tasty, mate, but I knew a Leicester fan at work a few years back, and he said their main rivals were Nottingham Forest, to be fair, so you're probably all right there. But it does seem to be that every time we play them, there's something from their fans, and I can't really work out what they're mourning about. Like, the goal that they scored, they got given a goal, for Christ's sake. I genuinely, that Coventry fans get in my head every time. Sorry, Sam, go on.
I think that it's the other thing for me is as well, though, like, they played well. Like, this is the thing, like, that game very easily could have gone the other way. They could have come away 2-1 winners. Like, take the offside goal away, because I'd have never, ever endorsed that whatsoever. But if they'd have beat us, you wouldn't have come away and gone, I can't believe we haven't won that game. Like, you'd turn around and you'd say, a team's actually come up against Burnley and actually tried to have a go for it.
Yeah.
Their football was something that we actually could sit here and talk about for 10 minutes and celebrate and say, Frank Lampard's actually got them playing some relatively decent football, and they're actually trying to attack teams, and that front three is really scary. But they spoil it for themselves because they go on that side. Look how hard done by we are.
Yeah.
You're not hard done by getting beat by a team that is currently now at the top of the table, who have conceded 12 goals in a season, should be 11, and have gone 27 games unbeaten. There is nothing wrong with losing that game. And I think that's probably what it comes down to, is the fact that they played quite well in the second half and haven't come away with anything. It's a disappointment from them, but they're letting themselves down by not reacting in the right way. Talk about your football and talk about how we played better than Burnley and still didn't manage to win, but there's positives. Like, don't turn around and be like, I can't believe it. Look at how the referee was awful. The weather, like Andrew says, the weather wasn't great.
The weather was beautiful yesterday.
It was gorgeous, wasn't it? It was gorgeous. That's what, it's just silly, isn't it? Like, they need to change the narrative and talk more about how well they played rather than what went against them.
Like, every single team can pick out little things through the game that's gone against them and make it the narrative. Like I've done. So you've got Sarmiento at the end. You've got Hannibal gets booked when their player throws himself to the floor. You've got Brownhill gets booked immediately after getting kicked in the head. You've got Egan Riley goes down in the box where he could have got a penalty, and then a potential handball penalty as well. Every team can do that. Go through the game and go, you've got this, you know, like there's all these little moments. But none of it would have affected, like, none of their decisions that went against them would have affected the game. It's all, woe is me. You know, we should, like you say, Sam, we should have got a result against Burnley. They played well. On the balance of play, they were potentially, probably not the better team, but they probably would have deserved a point. But to then say, oh, the referee was on Burnley's side, he's giving you a goal. Like, he's giving you a head start, and yeah.
100%.
Obviously, the incident, I completely agree with what you're saying there, Andrew, and I'm just backing your points up by putting this on screen there. Ted Druitt, the comment on screen as well, says, I was shouted at out of a car saying I should be ashamed. Mate, same happened to me. I was walking back to the car. I was parked in car park C. A Coventry fan, for some reason, was walking out of the car park. He must have walked through it. And he called, that referee were well on your side, mate. Like, what are you on about? You got given a goal. It were miles offside. And he literally said this. He went, it weren't offside. I said it was. So I just laughed in his face. It weren't being aggressive, to be fair. But I was like, it were miles offside, mate. He's like, it were well on your side, that ref. I'm like, mate, it was shit for both teams. It happens. Get over it. And he went, oh, and walked off like that. I just can't believe how mental that they're being. Like, genuinely, like, that one of the biggest narratives, and as Sam says, it is a narrative because they don't want to just sit there and say, we didn't create enough, we weren't good enough, even though we had a lot of the possession in the second half. Burnley contained us very well and did well to sort of like kill the game. They just can't say that, and they've got to create a narrative. Another one of the narratives is that Burnley just kept throwing themselves to the ground like Olympic divers. And if you look at the incident that's been playing on your screen, look at this moment when Hannibal, I think, is it Bobby Thomas? I don't know who it is. Just throws himself to the ground. And it's a free kick to Coventry. They did that throughout the entire game. I'm not going to sit here and say that we didn't do it either, because we did. But you've got a cheek to sit there and complain about it when you do the exact same thing. So I'm just shocked at how bad they were. Chase the Dreams, the fans, I mean. And Chase the Dream says, our defence, was a bit more shaky than usual yesterday. Thought Foster was poor yesterday. His hold-up play is non-existent and rarely passed it out to our wide men. Completely disagree with that, yes, the Foster, mate. I thought Foster played quite well. Ross says, some Coventry fan walking down to the motorway asking me why you want to watch that every week. Top of the league, mate. It's just pathetic, isn't it? It's just so pathetic. Foster's ball to Edwards, our first goal was shocking. It was behind him. Yeah, that was poor. And we will maybe get into the goal in a little bit, but I'm not sure we have time, to be fair. Chris P says, apparently some of their fans said I'd be embarrassed to be a Burnley fan. I'd be embarrassed to wear that shirt. Typical tears, mate. Just let them get on with it. But anyway, I'm going to be brave again here. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to start trying some new things and see if, the channel gets, demonetized, or a video gets demonetized or whatever. Let's just see what happens. Because apparently, if you do stuff like this, but add a little bit to it, as we are talking about it doesn't get done for monetization. So here is the second Burnley goal. I'll just make it bigger like that. Is that better for you? It definitely is. The second Burnley goal. We'll just quickly play it here. So obviously it's a ball upfield. Ball missed by Brownhill, their defender, their goalkeeper. What on earth are you doing? Anthony, fantastic pressing, by the way. I just think it's fantastic pressing by Anthony, if I'm being honest. But quickly look at it again. So the ball goes over. The defender here should do better. The communication between the two is poor. I'll admit that. But it's not all on the goalkeeper, as Coventry fans have tried to do it. If he should here not be getting in the way, the defender gets in the way. Anthony's there's two players between the goalkeeper and Anthony at the minute, by the way, because obviously you've got the one here blocking him and the one here heading it back, and then the goalkeeper. Just run it on a little bit. The goalkeeper gets in the way. Anthony continues to press, does very, very well, and slots it into the back of the net. So absolutely, we'll take those, won't we, lads? A great finish, Sam, from Anthony. But yeah, but poor from them, wasn't it, mate?
I mean, it's a good finish, and I completely agree. I think that's one of the things that I've been most impressed with over recent weeks is our ability to press has finally come back. I did feel like for a few weeks we'd got to that point where we were like, stop watching them hold the ball, go and get the ball. And recently we've been so good with that. We press in twos, we press in a pattern. They can't get past a specific line, and if they do, it just comes straight up to Laurent or Cullen. We're doing so well with that. However, I disagree with you slightly about whose fault it was. There is absolutely no world where the goalkeeper should be the person dealing with that. The ball has bounced outside the box. The defender's literally looking at it. There's no way that the goalkeeper should be, especially when the defender's like looking to head the ball back to him and he's already basically outside of his box. I find that madness personally. I think I actually completely agree with Coventry fans there. If I was watching that game, I would 100% be thinking, why on earth is my goalkeeper already at the edge of the box when Jayden Anthony is about 2 steps behind him? Like, that's just crazy. If he misses it, Anthony gets the ball first anyway, and he scores regardless. Like, I don't understand how on earth. If you watch that video back, the ball bounces, the defender looks to head the ball back to him and then sees his goalkeeper already out of the box. So that's what the confusion is. He's thinking, what the bloody hell are you doing here? Like,
yeah, maybe.
So I can't head the ball now to you because you won't be able to control it in time to get rid of it. I can't get rid of it because you're too close to me. So if I swipe ball to kick it away, I kick you as well. So the goalkeeper's just stood there like, what's going on? And then he's blamed the defender, and I'm literally, I feel like I might be in the minority there, but I completely think that. I totally think the goalkeeper's to blame for that.
For me, mixture of both. Andrew, your thoughts on that goal? Not necessarily who's to blame, but sort of like from a Burnley perspective.
Yeah, I think it were a mixture of both. Jordan, the referee, didn't see offside all game. Yeah, I think it were a mixture of both. But it's good pressing from Anthony. It's really well pressed from him. And then it just felt like it took an age to roll into back at net. But yeah, good goal from our side. But if that were other way around, I'd be absolutely fuming.
Yeah, there's no way that happens the other way around with our defenders and goalkeeper, to be fair. But yeah, just going back to what Sam said earlier, yes, it is a mistake from Coventry. Whether you want to blame the keeper or the defender, that's a different debate. But it's 100% a mistake from Coventry, and we had that goal handed to us. However, it is, we've pressed well, and we pressed well against Swansea. Like I saw Leeds fans yesterday saying they got a goal gifted to them against Swansea, and they got a goal gifted to them against Coventry again last night. What's the common denominator here? Jayden Anthony and his brilliant pressing. So, yes, the keeper or the defender, whichever way you want to look at it, should be clearing it. But at the end of the day, it's fantastic pressing from Burnley as well. Now, I'm still being brave. The stream's not been taken off. I've not had YouTube email me saying your channel is being demonetized. So let's keep it up, shall we? I love this new little thing. We're going to do this every single week. Let's look at their goal. There's been a few people sort of like saying Foster was at fault, so-and-so was at fault. I think Perez got blamed as well. Unfortunately, on this highlight reel, you can't. It starts before the Foster pass. But we'll just play it on a little bit here now. This is just the end of the first highlight where, we had a shot after about 30 seconds. But look, it starts sort of like here. So I'll just quickly run it back a little bit. It starts here. And obviously, Anthony's there. I think the pass from Foster to Anthony's already been made. We lose possession there. My complaint here, and I know people say, well, we had possession, so you can understand why he was there. As I think Perez is far too high up the pitch. Yes, get high up the pitch, but I think he's too high there. Loren then comes in and misses the challenge. They have the ball. Obviously, Perez is nowhere to be seen because he's been too far up. Brilliant save from Trapp, by the way. That's going unnoticed because of what happened. Let's go back to that. It's a great save from Trafford here. Tips it onto the post. Goes to their player. Miles offside. I mean, we're sitting here and potentially blaming a few of the Burnley lads. But at the end of the day, Sam, I'll come to you first. If the officials do the job, it's not a goal, is it? But obviously, Burnley will look at this goal from a Burnley perspective and look at what they could have done better when they're in training this week. So I think we'll try and put that hat on. I think defensively, it's not great, is it, to be fair?
No, I don't think it is. I think I definitely think it's worth putting a bit of ownership on the attacking players as well, though. Like, you can't lose the ball in that way, especially when you commit so many men forward. It's so early on in the game as well, so the teams are still, feeling the game out and finding out, what the crack is and stuff like that. But when that ball gets turned over, I'm not massively disappointed with where Lucas Perez is, if I'm honest. That's a standard position for him or Connor Roberts, depending on how we attack. Like, we have a fullback who's there ready. I think one of the disappointing things for me is I don't think Steve needs to pull out and try and defend that area. I feel like he should have marked the man in the middle, because I think he left a huge space for the shot to even come in. I think the thing that annoyed me about Perez was the lack of busting a gut to get back. He kind of just wanders and strolls back into the box, which I think if you are a defender, I think, if you are caught out of position, I think as soon as that goal goes in and you have just got to the edge of the box, I think that's poor. But then again, I also then think that there's enough players back already. Like, yes, Perez out of position, but Laurent's there as well, and Cullen's still further back. So we still have 5 defensive players still there without Perez. I think Laurent's decision to pull out and his decision to full pelt go for the ball and miss it is stupid. Like, you either need to go and win the ball or keep dropping with the player and just prevent the cross. Like, that stops Steve feeling the need to pull out anyway and leaving the space for the man in the middle. So I think it's a collective of a few things. I don't know. When it comes to a specific goal, unless it was like under the company season where you can blame an individual every week, I don't feel like this season it's even worth blaming individuals, because we've conceded 12 goals. Like, we've probably been sad for about 2 weekends this entire season. Like, I literally, like, it doesn't even matter really, does it, in the end? But it's frustrating because of how well we've done defensively recently. But I think there's a few factors, and I don't think it's necessarily us losing possession high is the main reason. I don't think it's necessarily Perez being out of position, and I also don't think it's all Steve coming out and trying to stop the cross. I think it's all of them collectively just ends up being not a very good goal to concede, and it wasn't even a goal. So at the end of the day,
despite all of that, despite Burnley not defending very well, despite, in my opinion, Perez being too high, or in Sam's opinion, not busting a goal to get back, despite Esteve being dragged towards the ball, it still shouldn't have stood. It still shouldn't have stood at the end of the day. And I've actually put this comment on screen because we've found what appears to be a sound Coventry fan. So absolute scandalous, rarer than rocking horse shit. Finn says, Coventry fan here, no excuses from me. We lost a minimum 1 point through our own fault. Yes, you did some dark arts, but so have we in the past. Play up Sky Blues, including yesterday, mate, by the way. You were doing some dark arts yourselves yesterday. We played well, but we're not clinical in front of goal, and putting Calamity Collins in instead of Wilson is criminal and silly. We know what Collins is like. To be fair, that goal's not great, and as Sam said, he does think it's fully on the keeper. Andrew, your thoughts on that particular incident then, please, mate?
Yeah, you two have both just summed it up pretty much quite well. I think I agree with Sam. It's not necessarily Perez's fault. Yeah, he should be busting a gut to get back there, but we've seen how we play when we're in possession. So he, in theory, should be that high up the pitch when we've got the ball. Sloppy from Foster the pass, but it's one of them where there's not necessarily little mistakes, but Laurent could have done better. Steve didn't need to come out as far as he did, but it's one of them where there's not every player is going to be able to stop every single chance, and the only thing that the only two things I really have an issue with is how good the save was from Trafford, for then no one to actually clear the ball, and then the fact that the goal shouldn't have stood anyway. So yeah, it's one of them where you can't really complain too much with the lads because of how early it is in the game and how well they've done this season. But yeah, it shouldn't have stood anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, completely agree. It shouldn't have stood anyway, despite all of that. But I just like to sort of look at it from our perspective, because I know that's exactly what the lads will be doing when they're in training tomorrow morning. Lee Greenwood says, though, the individual at fault for this one had a flag in his hand. Then he goes on to say, you cannot stop every chance. There's at least 2 or 3 every week that could lead to a goal. Daniel Ormeron said, it was their pace that did us in for the goal. I don't blame Perez. Steve Wilson says, good morning. Good morning, Steve. You are late. We're an hour into the show. But as usual, when we do end the show, it stays on YouTube and Facebook for you to watch back at your leisure. And of course, we upload it as a podcast as well. We're starting to come towards the end of the show, but before we do, there's 2 more things I want to mention and show you all. First of all, is something that's incredibly beautiful.
The league table.
There it is, the Championship League table. You all thought I was going to put myself full screen then, didn't you? But no, it's the Championship League table. Burnley have gone top of the tree for what, is it the first time we've been top this season, or it's definitely the first time since like August, September. But yeah, we haven't been there often, but we're getting there at the moment that matters. Sheffield United fan, who I do the shows with, Jimmy from Blades Ramble and Connor, they were both saying the Bristol City games and the Coventry games and even the Derby games are the ones where we could or will, in Jimmy's case, drop points. We haven't dropped points yet. Yes, Derby's a very tough fixture, and we have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But we've beaten Bristol City. We've beaten Coventry City away, and the Clarets now sit top of the tree thanks to, look at that Leeds form, by the way. 3 draws out of 3 before that win against Millwall and the defeat at Pompey. And the game before that was, I think, a draw as well. They've only won 1 of their last 6, I know that much. Burnley, obviously the most informed team in the league, as it says there, and Sheffield United losing yesterday to Oxford. Sam, are we going to do it, mate?
In an ideal world, yeah. I think we still have some tough fixtures, if I'm honest. I don't think it's smooth sailing. That Sheffield United fixture still feels like a big one. We've got Watford still to play. Yeah, I think that we are hitting form at the right time. And I am hopeful that we've not seen 27 games undefeated for the last 7 or so to be the games where we slip up. But after watching the last few games, we look well on it. So
we do.
Yeah.
Chris says, the media have been praising Sheffield United and Leeds all season. We've been doing our business quietly, and now we are where we belong. Chronicles of Charles says we are winning the league. Boys, a notorious BJB says, all in our hands now. Watford and Norwich losing yesterday helped us massively. They're virtually out of the playoff race and will have nothing to play for. I do not fear Norwich in the slightest. I think they've been pretty poor for quite some time now. Watford are very inconsistent. You never know which Watford's going to turn up. If the good Watford turns up when we go there, then we might be in for a bit of a game. However, that good Watford hasn't turned up enough this season. So for me, I'm okay with it. I'm going down to Watford as well. Obviously, like I went down yesterday, it's the business end of the season. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Solent says, Parker has said all season that we are the most stable team will be the one that's successful. Matthew Corbett. Matthew Corbett's only put 2 comments in this chat, I think, or 2 comments that I remember seeing. At the start of the stream, he put champions again, ole, ole, and he's just put it again now, champions again, ole, ole. Chronicles goes on to say, winning 4 games, including Sheffield United, and it's ours. Daniel Ormer says, I don't fear the Sheffield United game. I honestly believe we are a far better team. Simon Carey says, hopefully kick on from here now. Ray Moorhead says, Derby's pitches are worried. I hope it doesn't become an excuse. I haven't really noticed that they have a bad pitch, to be fair, but I'm sure I'll see it on Tuesday because once again, I am there. Mark Howard says, to be fair, Andrew's been saying we're going to win it for weeks. Andrew, and that brings me on nicely to you, mate. You have been predicting it for a while. Not that we've won it yet, of course. There's plenty of twists and turns, and we could very easily be third again on Tuesday night. But top of the league, are you feeling confident? You've been confident for a while, mate.
Yeah, I still, we've seen the meltdown from Leeds begin, I think there's still obviously a lot more to come for the rest of the season. You know, there's still a lot of twists and turns. We've got difficult fixtures. Everyone's got difficult fixtures because pretty much everyone's got something left to play for, bar maybe like 3 or 4 teams. But we know how quick it can change in the league. But yeah, I'm certain, not certain, but now we've got ourselves here. Now we've got ourselves to the top. I just can't see us falling away now. The only concern I've got is the Sheffield United game. But I think whoever wins that wins the league effectively. But it's between us and Sheffield United. But I'm confident we can still do it. I'm confident that my inflatable trophy that's up there from 2 years ago will be coming back out in May.
How has that still got air in it, by the way, mate? Has it still got air in it?
Yeah, I honestly don't know how it's still got air in it.
Fair enough. Fingers crossed we're on 90 points come this time next week. Yeah, says Chris P, who then goes on to say, weeks ago we accepted the playoffs. Now we're looking for the title. Football can change very quickly. It definitely can, mate. And before we go, because we are going to start wrapping it up there, get your man of the match comments in now, please. Obviously, a lot of contenders yesterday. A few people saying Foster played quite well, although there's been some people in the comments saying they don't think that he did. I do think he played quite well. Trafford didn't have much to do. He never does. But when he did it quite well, obviously making the great save in the build-up to the goal, and that's where it should have ended. If the referee and linesman had done their job properly. Jadon Anthony got 2 goals, so of course he's got to be in the conversation. And if you go on something like who scored, for example, because they love the stats, Jadon Anthony will probably be the man of the match. When I was looking on FOTMob earlier, Josh Brownhill got it. He's in the conversation as well. I thought he was okay. Do I think he was the best player on the pitch? No. I am going to go for Joshua Cullen. I thought Cullen was the man of the match. Middlesbrough says Clarets 1882. I don't really get that one, mate. I'll probably for the win against Blackburn on Friday night, to be fair. Matthew Corbett says Cullen for me. Agree with that one. Gary Murgatroyd says Jadon. Jeff Nutter says Jadon Anthony, man of the match. Chaser Dream says Cullen. Chris Fairburn says Anthony. Chris P. Cullen with Anthony are close in behind. Jack O'Callaghan says Jadon Anthony. Anthony Davies says we're going to win the league on 102 points. Think you need to get your hamsters running a bit quicker, pal. Pick a time for FS. Just switched on, says John. Unfortunately, John, this isn't my job. I'd love it to be. I'd love to be a full-time content creator like Jimmy and Connor at One Leeds and Blades Ramble, but I have a job, so I need to go to work today. If you are missing times, just follow us on Twitter, get notifications on YouTube. We always tweet it there every single day. Carrying on with the man of the match, though, Daniel Ormerod says Anthony all day for me. Cullen says Claret 2022. Cullen says Luke Williamson. Ginger Alley says Anthony. Martin Patterson says champions again. Who's your man of the match, Martin, mate? I saw you there yesterday. Come on, give me a man of the match. Kurt Leeming says in the West Midlands, it's James Bell, the referee. Chronicles of Charles says I thought Anthony did well. Russell Proctor says got to be Anthony with the goals. Ross says Cullen. Lampard says Claret 1882. Cullen says Kurt. Raj says Anthony. Cullen says Raj says I don't know, forget it. Yeah, Raj says Anthony. Anthony says Cullen, if that makes sense. It does make sense. For breaking the season record of expected opposition tears, per 90 is the man of the match. Bradley Collins, man of the match, says Martin Jennings as well. Sam, come to you first. Man of the match, please, mate.
Yeah, mine was Cullen, 100%. Even though Jadon Anthony got the goals, I just think we have an absolute Rolls Royce in centre midfield. He is absolutely incredible. Just does everything that we want and more. So, and it's every week. Josh Cullen.
You know what I found quite frustrating recently is, as some of you have seen, I've started meeting up with Jimmy and Connor from Blades Ramble and One Leeds, and they just don't rate Cullen. They just don't rate Cullen. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. He's superb every single week and one of the best players, or if not the best player in the league at doing what he does. And again, he was superb. Absolutely fantastic.
It's because they compare him to Tanaka and Gus Hamer, though, innit? But Tanaka's the only player in the division who you could possibly say in centre midfield is better than Josh Cullen, There is no way Gus Hamer's better than Cullen. I'm sorry.
They play a little bit further forward though as well, don't they? So
even so, if you're talking their best central midfielder compared to our best central midfielder, for me it would go Tanaka, Cullen, and Hamer. I think Hamer's a good player, but I don't rate him anywhere near what I rate Cullen and Tanaka. They're in their own group.
Completely agree, and everyone in the comments is agreeing as well. Andrew, man of the match?
Man's going to be Anthony. I agree with you both. Cullen was absolutely superb, as he always is. But for me, it's Anthony. It would have been so easy for Parker to drop him after last week. I don't think he put in a poor performance last week, but the chances...
Well, he was just poor in front of goal, weren't he?
Yeah, I think that could have affected him negatively, whereas it looks like it affected him positively. When he's gone and got both goals yesterday. Second goal's really thanks to his pressing. So, yeah, I'm giving it Anthony, but Cullen was absolutely brilliant, as he always is.
Yeah, and in typical Who Scored fashion, I've just quickly looked at their website, and they did, of course, give it to Jayden Anthony, who got an 8.7 out of 10. Josh Cullen, 7.1. Josh Brownhill, 6.1. Foster, 7. These stats websites sometimes do wind me up. But, yeah, it's Cullen or Anthony, isn't it? So it's good to see that the majority of people are... agreeing on that. Chase the Dream says, stop Cullen playing and we're Goose. No idea why teams don't stop him playing. They can't, mate. They just can't. He's just too good. But yeah, we're pushing an hour 15. I need to set off to Manchester in 15 minutes because, as I said earlier, I am working. I wish I didn't have to. I wish that this was my job and I could do the same streams at the same times every single week. But unfortunately for me, I can't do that. If you do run a business though and you want to sponsor us, feel free. You might be able to make it my job. Yes, massive shout out to Sam, of course, for coming on. As always, fantastic. Great to have Sam on. Sam's a very busy man. He's got a very busy job. So it's always good to see when Sam's here. Andrew, part of the furniture, here every single week. I crack the joke every time, but I genuinely could do a stream on the moon at 4 a.m. And he's like, yeah, mate, got nothing going on. I'm doing nothing today. I will be there. And that's absolutely fantastic. And that's what you need. You need somebody who's always there. And then obviously all the busy lads and stuff that also provide great content can fit in around me and Andrew. But as usual, if you have just joined the stream late, like plenty of people have, normally I get a bit of stick when I say this from somebody called Bell Differs. But even Bell Differs was late. He says, sorry, I'm late. I'm only late, so you can put your late comment. Leeds and Sheffield United looked awful yesterday. Let's win the league. So yes, if you joined the stream late and you want to watch it back at your leisure, then you can. As soon as I press end stream, it stays on Facebook, it stays on YouTube for you to watch back whenever you want. Like I said, I will be driving to Manchester within the next 15 minutes, but as soon as I get there, I will sneakily upload the pod for you guys, so then you can listen to it on a podcast if you're doing some chores on your Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, or if you want to wait until tomorrow for your morning commute or whatever like that, then it will be there again. Kurt Lehman says, thanks, lads. Great show again. Up the Clarets from down under, says Russell Proctor. Chris P says, can't wait for the results of the other two guys you do the videos with. Unfortunately, I can't do one with them until after the Derby game. So knowing how we'll lose that and then they'll be cocky again. The Coventry fans in the chat still. Shout out to Finn, who's not one of the Mard Arsey Coventry fans. He says, Burnley will get autos. Coventry will make the playoffs. I agree with Coventry making the playoffs. I do agree with Burnley getting the autos, and I've said it for a while, but I don't want to sit here and jinx it. DM me your work schedule, says John Falconer. Okay, mate, I'm freelance, so it changes every week. But if you want me to DM you every single week, I will do exactly that. But thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And we will see you next time.
Goodbye.